Welcome to the Controlling Automation How to Be a Super Tech training. This is a sampling of a larger program called Operating Intelligence. And with this, I want to use to show you the features of this program, how it can be delivered, all the while giving you some valuable content that I hope will be of significant use to you. This is like I said, this is a primer to the more advanced program, the fuller program, which would be done over many modules. This is just a single module for use on getting kind of understanding of how it works. And I've got a little subtitle here, How to Be a Super Tech and Be on the A Team Every Time. It's very possible to develop that out and become capable of operating at that level. It does take some work, so a good bit of passion, and you'll be able to really get anywhere that you want to get in whatever direction you decide to point yourself. Today's game plan, there's 5 different sections to this, and as we get into it, I'll show you some navigation or just a simple navigation feature I included so you can know what section we're in all the time. The 5 areas, being tough, smart, and fast. Second one, super smart trouble calls and what to do with them. Third one, kind of interesting. I like this area. It's one of my favorite ones. DevOps what? I'll explain what that means. Number 4, information systems that give you everything you need now. And the last one, which is kind of a putting it all together sort of a phase, transformation thinking, planning, and execution. All right, let's get started. Being tough, smart, and fast. Okay, now just to, as this first slide has come up, let me show you at the bottom here. That is the navigation feature I was telling you. So if you, as we're moving through this, there's a slide that shows when we're getting into a new area, but at the bottom you can always see where we're at. All right, what is strength and what does it look like? Kind of a fundamental question, but in terms of how we operate in industrial plants, let's discuss this. In terms of summary for this, the scope of this this training, I've included 3 different areas that I believe are very important: determination, focus, and self-control. The determination that is required, or the attitude that's required internally, because things can get very tough in plants, both sometimes politically, the environment can be hot, loud, tempers can flare up, it can be hard to keep your composure when things are tough, when things aren't working and people are asking when it's going to be working again. It is very important to stay within a stance of that you will never quit. And obviously we are human. We do quit. It's more of a cycle that we go through, but we've got to determine ahead of time that to the extent that we do quit, we will restart. And always restart. Never stop restarting. Never stop giving up. Second one is focus. I will control what distracts me because I know what I am going to do. Focus is really important because it allows us to concentrate our efforts into a particular direction. And having that as a core attitude will allow us to keep the clarity that we need in pointing that direction. And the last one here, self-control. This is probably the most difficult. At times we just don't feel like behaving well. And that's because there's a lot of things going on around us that can be very challenging. But if we determine that we are going to always keep ourselves in a place of previously determined behavior, that even when we feel bad, we will keep moving in the direction that will accomplish the responsibilities in a way that is good for others. This takes time, it takes practice, it takes development. Sometimes we have to reorient ourselves. Sometimes we have to, tell people, hey, I didn't get that right, and I'll do better. And just bear with me. I appreciate your grace. All right, how can I be smart? This is not book smart. This is street smart type stuff. However, book smart stuff does play into it. But we're talking about common sense oriented things here. Thinking right. It is a choice. We think sometimes we're born with it or not. That's not true. It can be developed. Constant adaptation. Because of the nature of how things can change, and how our awareness of things changes, we have to, when we look at things and how they're working and what needs to be done, sometimes we find that the direction we're pointing is not right. And being able to adapt to those different circumstances that we either newly discover, or that the circumstances have actually changed, we need to be ready to adjust ourselves. And the proof of this, and this is really important, because this is what gives us hope that we're going in a direction that's going to help us. And that is, look back on it. As you've operated in this way, look back and you will see that the progress that you've had will prove that you're doing well and that there's been improvement. And the last part of this section, how to be fast but also calm. That's very important. It's easy to get in a hurry, but kind of lose our composure on the inside, which will flow out to our outside. The beginning of this is knowing what to do. When you know what to do, you can move quickly, and clarity will get you moving and keep you moving along that path quickly. And that, it's simple to say, but clarity can be awful tough to keep when we're in a complex environment. But it's worth the time to stop and think through. You know, there's times where we can kind of get a place in our work where we can stop, calm down a little bit, or slow down a little bit, consider what's going on, kind of do a reset, and maintain that clarity. And there's various ways that we can do that. You can just, find a place to sit, some way to isolate yourself into something, even if it's amongst other people, and just get that reset back. Know how to do it. This is progressive. Remember what you have done before, what worked and what didn't. It's part of that growth and learning process. And it all starts with a good plan. And a very important part of this is it is incremental or iterative. It develops over time. So start with the best plan you can come up with, improve it as you go, and always keep in mind where you're trying to get. Okay, super smart trouble calls and what to do with them. This is kind of the basis of the work that we do. Is we're there. Yes, there's preventative work to do. Generally, we don't get to enough of that because there's so many trouble calls, and they inject themselves kind of without notice, and that can become a problem. So, what's the best way to approach getting these done? All right, quick hint: don't just fix it. I have walked this many, many times. And that's why I even have this here, because the temptation is to get it fixed. It can take a lot out of us, but it's at these moments where we either build a better plant or we build a worse plant. Here's the problem. It starts with an emergency. It isn't planned. There's not time to orient yourself to it. You get the call, you got to go. All of the focus, and everybody's unified around this, the focus starts and ends with restoring things, restoring operation and getting the plant moving again, or that machine or that line. And that's a good thing. That definitely should be the priority. But there's more things to think about and to be done, and it's worth talking about and considering how can those be injected into this process. We kind of already covered this. There's no time to prepare. You could be sitting at lunch or break. You could be on something else, and the call comes in, and you got to go. There wasn't time to set up the right tools. Hopefully you have them with you. Sometimes you got to go get them. There was no predetermined track that was going to be taken to do it well, or include other tasks or activities that would either prevent the line or machine from degrading or taking an opportunity to improve it. Once that's done, that's it. Operation restored, all done, time to move to something else. Another dynamic in all this is that we move too fast. However, this is what the operation needs. That's the whole point. The machine's not running, got to get it going. And when that consolidates our focus into that one direction. And that's really what creates the problem, is that hyper focus and alignment is shoving out other things. And there's another factor here, it's a political factor, that respect goes to those that are the quickest at this. Those that are good at troubleshooting get great honor. but we need a different perspective. A quick response is awesome, but it shouldn't just stop there. What will this extra mile do? What will adding additional tasks to the trouble call process do? Well, this is what I'm going to suggest as a change of approach and direction. Things change often during service calls. We modify something, we improve it, we take something out, and those changes need to be propagated to the right places, either with labeling on the machine, labeling on wires, changes in drawings, or some other way to document that something has changed. If PLC code has changed, was the commenting done, was a proper revisioning and storing of that file done so the right version is available next time. During the best way, because of the rapid nature that things progress, one of the best things that can be done is to take notes on the changes and the new things that are observed, and the additional tasks can be done in a calmer zone. That's practically the only way that's going to happen anyway. Now, and I have this ordered in this way for a purpose, so that we can see that now the next time, with this change in approach, the next time going into a service call, with this new intelligence gained in these previous steps, things can be made better and leave equipment in a better state. And over time, it's amazing, and I think anybody that's been doing this long enough could see it. You look back in a system where this kind of work has not been done, drawings are not accurate, you don't know where wires go, you don't know what certain parts of PLC programs do, and various aspects of that, it really leaves us confused on those subsequent service calls. All right, DevOps. Here we go. What this stands for is development and operations, and it's kind of a new concept, comes out of the IT world, software development world, where the ability to operate and develop is combined. So where equipment is, or systems in the software world, where systems are not, where changes are needed to be made, they've shortened that cycle of making the changes and then allowing the operation to have those changes installed and included. So how does it apply here? Of course, we've kind of already defined a little bit, but this is my little formula at the top here. Development plus operations equals perfected systems. Again, we've covered this. It's a combination of development activity with the operating system, or with operating of the system. What does it mean when operations requests a change? It just very simply means it can be done without a big project. Now, not always. Some changes, of course, do require that, but I'm talking about the small incremental iterative changes, that just the little things. Can we do this a little bit different? Can we tweak it that way? And that's where the opportunity in this is. Who can do this? Anybody who understands electrical circuits, the control circuits, the PLC programming, and the HMI configuration. So some of you may need training on how to get into those things. There's some hazards here. You don't want to go changing programs if you don't understand what they do. So kind of on the back side of this, or a prerequisite to this, is not only understanding how to make PLC programming changes, but understanding the code and how it's working. And that is all stuff that can be done proactively. And quite frankly, this could be a very significant growth area for your career, to engage things in this way. And it would require cooperation and alignment with management to approach things this way, because PLC changes and HMI changes need to be done with caution, but that can certainly be done. Okay, some of this may be a little bit of review, but why care about it? I put a little note at the top because it's like keeping your car clean all the time, and it's kind of maybe a weak metaphor, but if you think about, if you clean your car once every 3 months, it's going to be a big disaster, a big mess. But if you do it a few times a week with a good clean once a week, that car is always going to be clean and in good order. And it's the same thing here. Performance can stay optimized. It can be fit in small increments at a time to exactly what the operation needs. And by the way, you can add, so a lot of times there's things that we need, or that the maintenance side needs, that the operations side doesn't really care about. And these are diagnostics and various other tags, values, and aggregated data that needs to be monitored, that can tell you how things are going, and when things do fail, it'll give you a record and logs to look at to know what led up to that condition. Over time, the system can be made to fit better with the crew using it. It can really be customized in very accurate ways with what's learned while using it. And I don't know if this is a word or not, but I like it. Perfectibility. When the systems and machines are delivered, they're rarely perfect. And this is really important. I've seen this. I see this most of the time. Project teams cut out because money and schedules run out. This is not necessarily a bad thing. Really, nothing can be made perfect on the front side, and the economics of these things really do matter. But with those factors being what they are, you can finish it off the way you want it with this mindset. All right, how to start. This is probably the getting started is probably the hardest part of this. It's a mind shift change. It requires new skills. But I'm confident that there's people on your team that are ready to do it. Maybe it's you. Start with easy stuff. At least making note of what should be different, and then strategizing from there. How would you fill that slot of being able to address those things? Find out what you don't know and get on a learning path. There are so many resources out there now for learning. This is really a very exciting era. I've got 3 listed here, and that's not to mention YouTube and just really a variety. There's probably some things on Amazon. I've looked there before. It's somewhat limited, but there are things there. Lynda.com, Udemy.com, those are both online course houses, I guess you could say. They operate a little bit differently. If anybody's interested in this, I can help you sort through that. Safari Books Online, that's simply reading books so you can subscribe to them and read books from their bookshelf online. If this is enabled for the team, make a plan, dig in until new capabilities exist. It's really that simple. The learning curve can be long, but if this is an area of passion for people, this will only be exciting, and it will only add to the excitement of being involved with this kind of work. High level of competency is built over time. Give objectives. This is probably more for management, but sometimes we've got to strategize our own path through this stuff. Start with objectives, resources, time, and patience to the team or to yourself, and then get ready to be amazed, because this is where true growth happens. New things are discovered, new abilities, and this, I just cannot emphasize this enough. This is really where incredible shifts can happen in what a maintenance team is capable of. All right, information systems that give you everything you need to know. This is another really another area that has a lot of opportunity in it for providing a improved future. And I'm sure we won't get into this very long before everybody's able to realize just what that could be, because information is the basis really behind everything that we do. Our systems are very technical. There's a lot of detail to them, some more than others. And the information, the engineering information and the observed information about how they're running, little quirks it has, are really the basis for getting things done well. I'm talking here about PLC, HMI, PC applications. And I'm talking about the files. So for PLC and HMI, not just having files to reload if a device fails, but also having something to refer to understand what the logic and how things are working. When you push an HMI button, what tag is it referring to, or what data location is it referring to, and what is it doing? Is there any code in the HMI configuration? That kind of thing. The operations manual, technical manuals, and any other types of written or soft documentation that's been included with the system or that's been otherwise included, including the drawings. I am sure a good number of us are thinking right now of the drawing information that's been missing and how much that could have helped us at particular times. And that's the point here. When this information isn't available or it isn't accurate, it really puts us at a disadvantage and extends the amount of time it takes to recover or get a machine back into operation. When does it matter? Obviously on service calls. And when that comes up, it's right now. Management request. Occasionally other people need to know how things work. It may be a question you can't answer without engineering information, and accurate at that. Project support. When projects do come up, the designers and engineers will need that information to begin their work as something to engineer from. And if they don't have good information, the basis for that project will not be right. How to set up the system. This can be as simple or complex as needed or as possible in your environment. So first step, get it all together. Understand the nature of the information that needs to be kept track of, managed, and this is not only in using it, but also in revising it. Identify how it will be used, where and how will it be used, on a laptop, mobile device, desktop, workstation. Then create the system. It could be an internal system provided, by your IT group, or it could be a simpler one that you create with a file system and viewed with Microsoft applications or any other, PDF viewer or things like that. Some of this, obviously, a PLC program is generally only going to be accessible through the interface for that PLC, the interface software for that PLC. But there could also be reports printed so that you have a PDF copy of that logic, and you can look at it on your phone, just as an example. Or it could use cloud technologies. Dropbox, I've used it before. Google Drive. Some of this is going to depend on your network settings, I'm talking about the Wi-Fi network in terms of what you're able to access in your plant. Or that limitation might not be there if you're able to use your own your cell plan on your phone to access things. So some of you are going to have limitations based on how strict your IT policies are and who is actually controlling this process. This is just to kind of get the wheels turning on how to think through where these systems could be built. Okay, in our last section here, transformation, thinking, planning, and execution. This is could be the belt around all of these areas and more. We're obviously very rapidly moving through areas that are really there's a lot more areas than this, and they can be added in. But this part of the way we operate really can, as it develops and as we do it well, it can build out into the system that it needs to be, and we can manage the change and the growth. Okay, and it really can be the most fun part. When we set an objective and we want to do something beyond where we are, it really is a very hopeful thing to be able to have a way of thinking and a method to get there. And this is a much larger area than we can cover here. I just want to scratch the surface and at least bring awareness to this kind of thinking. Things always need to be transformed. When I say things, I mean inside of ourselves and also in the systems and in the environment that we're in. The conditions change, and frankly, the first few passes are usually not as good as they should be. That's just the nature of things. That is just a fundamental principle. It is controllable. We just need to decide to engage the process, but it gives huge rewards. That incremental change is how industrial revolutions occurred and how they started and built into amazing things. And those that participate with this will be deeply rewarded. You'll be rewarded in your own sense of self-satisfaction, but you will also be rewarded by others. The way things have always been. This really is something for us to consider. Why? Why have things always been a certain way? Here's a hint. It has to do with how things are developed. It is just the nature of things that when things are developed, there is often not tolerance for changing it from there. We resist change, and it also requires a lot more work than just coasting through. That's what this hint is all about. Things get installed, and then we just live with that new reality. Now we have to be careful because we can really jam up things politically if we hit this too hard, if we don't read people. Sometimes when we move too fast at a level that is below our management. They have things going on they haven't told us about, and if the shifts and changes we're getting ready to make interfere or threaten them, or just overwhelms them, it can work against us. So we have to be in tune with what our management is doing, where they're at, the challenges they have. Who does this apply to? All of us. Change is hard. We'd rather stick with the things that work, not mess around with it. But in the end, this becomes a destructive feature, because instead of things improving, they degrade. And that's kind of a general principle that's out there. Things don't stay neutral. Even parts sitting on a shelf get dusty. They start to oxidize and corrode sometimes, depending on the material. And various electronics components can break down. So things are never remaining equal or neutral. We have to determine that we're going to drive the direction that things are going to go. How do we address it? Things can easily be changed, but it does take courage. And why? Oh, I guess I jumped ahead a little bit there. But it takes, why does it take courage? I think I kind of covered that. It takes courage because we have internal forces that work against the change, but we also have other people that work against us, and they're not working against us per se. It's just we're not aligned with them. So, and that's what I said just a few moments ago. We have to read the environment around us as best we can and find a path through it. I'm kind of being vague and abstract here. I don't mean to do that, but it's kind of an abstract area. We have to. It just takes a little time to understand where people are at and how we can best work with them. What will this do to your future? Well, when we transform in a proper direction and we make things better around us, think less interrupted nights, lunches, and more time to think. And isn't that a wonderful thing to not have emergency in capital letters, bold, red, just always in front of us all the time? We can reverse the direction of things that cause these unplanned events that happen around us and exist in a better environment. It will make a simpler environment. It's counterintuitive, but by engaging a complex process, simplicity will result. Your current world is likely much more complicated than it needs to be. And by getting into these areas, we can eliminate things that are not essential. And by eliminating things that are not essential and improving and making more robust the things that are, we end up with a better world. And by environment, area or conditions around us. Things become clear because when things make sense and they're ordered, they are clear. Some things need to be improved, some things need to be removed. That's what we talked about with the essential part. And also it'll make things more robust. Things that are built better run better. I know it's obvious, but that's just, we lose track of this because of all the things screaming at us. But this really is the key to understanding how to eliminate some of those factors. All right, well, thank you for watching this. I really hope there's some things in here that will really help you, and I'm excited to have been able to present this. And if you have any questions, you can go to my website, controllingautomation.com, and there's more information about the program at large and ways to get in touch with me there. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day.